Alright guys, welcome back to PSUs. Today we are doing a budget build sponsored by Xilence, who sent us this case and this 240mm only one cooler, and it's gonna be an extremely good budget build. Basically, all the components aside from the GPU, which I bought used, and the CPU, which I bought on Amazon warehouse, so used, they are all new. As you can see, this one still has the peel off to do. This one still has to be peeled off. I bought it straight on Amazon. This one is new. It has yet to be opened. And this motherboard was new. We opened it up to test it. And of course, the two products that they sent us, they are new. And I mean, the budget for this build, try to guess it. I will tell it in the end because you probably will not be able to guess it properly. Let's go over the components quickly. Basically, the main idea is to have an i7 12700K, this guy with 32 gigs of RAM, a 1TB PCIe 4.0 7000 MB per second Samsung drive, and to pair it with an RX 6900 XT, which has similar performance to an RTX 3090, so pretty high end. And then to have a good power supply, good case, and good cooling to go with it. So it's a PC that will max out. Well, it will be able to play in 4K, it will max out Quad HD monitors, and of course it will be possible to play in 360Hz Full HD with this thing. So it's going to be an extremely high-end build, but for not a high-end price. So let's get building. Okay, so let's get on with the motherboard. Now we actually already slotted the CPU in, but here it is. It's a Gigabyte Aorus Z690 Elite DDR4, which means that it's much cheaper. And actually, I do recommend you actually go with DDR4 model for like 99% of you, because DDR5 really isn't a justified expense as of right now. I have actually some videos showing that the difference in performance isn't really there. So okay, so as first thing, let's peel off all these plastics. So let's open up our brand new RAM. Let's get installing. Now this brand is called Kimtigo, and it's actually some very cheap RAM, but it performs pretty well. Now, it is DDR4 3600 MHz CL19, which is why it's that cheap. But I find, honestly, especially on Intel platform, it really doesn't make a difference. So it looks gorgeous, and I paid 70 bucks for this kit. Now, another thing good about this Gigabyte motherboard is they highlighted the slots in which you should put the RAM first. That's something good, I think. So let's get slotting it in. Okay, so at this point we just have to install the Samsung 980 Pro, and now this motherboard has a heatsink, as you should with PCI Express 4.0 drives, so we're using this auto brushless drill to actually unscrew it, so let's get going. It might be a bit overkill, but we don't care. Guys, I love this electric screwdriver, it's so fun to use. And now right here we have two thermal pads covered by a little sticker that we have to take out. So, brand new Samsung drive, let's open it up. Here it is. It really hasn't changed much since the first gen, and it comes without a heatsink, so you really do need a motherboard with a good heatsink, or you're gonna fry it. You just slot it in, and then put this one back on. Be sure not to get the hole wrong, or you will probably destroy the motherboard, because this thing is also a drill. It's not just a screwdriver, so you gotta be real careful with it, but it does the job. Okay, so here we have the actual cooler, and it's the Xilence LQ240 ARGB. Now, this brand is a brand you might not have heard of quite as much, but they actually have been known in the PSU space for a long time. So, this one is their newest cooler, and it comes in black, but also in white, which is the one we have here. So, let me show it to you. It is gorgeous, guys. I have spoiled it myself, because I couldn't wait to open it up, and it does actually look really nice. Okay, we got it out, fairly easy. Look at it. It already looks really nice. Now, this one is to mount it, clearly, we'll take a look at it later. But first of all, take a look at the fans. There aren't many as pretty on the market. And second of all, guys, this is our actual all-in-one cooler. Isn't it pretty? Okay, so let's actually mount the backplate. Now, it has those little things to avoid it shorting the motherboard, which are really nice. I wish more brands would actually start to include them. And then you have to find the proper hole. There we go. And now we have to screw it from this side to make sure that everything fits, but we will do it off camera quickly and then come back. Okay, so they are clearly labeled, which is something I really do appreciate. And then you want to basically mount the shorter side on the holes from the back plate, and then the longer side actually gets into the actual cooler. So pretty straightforward, pretty simple. We'll mount them all and then show you. Okay, so now before we actually get this one in, and again it's gonna go on top, that's gonna go this way, we are actually using the included Xilence thermal paste, which is something really nice. I actually prefer having paste here than pre-applied on the cooler. So let's actually apply it. We will just do a bit of a line, it's what I prefer on LGA 1700. There we go. The paste doesn't seem too bad actually. Now let's actually apply the cooler. Again, you wanna think about when it's gonna go in the case. So in this case it goes in this way. So we're gonna just apply it once in order to get an even spread of the paste. Okay, and now we're actually screwing it in. Okay, so let's slot everything in, and now very gently put in the motherboard first. Now of course the cooler will go in as second, but as of right now we're leaving it out the case for a second and actually mounting everything. Okay, so let's actually slot this one in and let me know if you think it fits the build. Let's single-handedly just go in. Let's see if we can make it fit first try, okay? There we go. Okay, time to open up the actual power supply, and as you can see, it's a brand new Corsair RM750X. Very good modular power supply. It is 80 plus gold. It's a very popular one as well. And now we have to basically assemble all the cables. They also give us some screws, something for the cable management, a huge manual, and here is our unit, brand new. So we connected all the cables to the actual power supply. Now it's time to actually slot it in. So let's go. Those HDD bays actually are a bit in the way, so I think we'll take them out. Nobody's gonna be using hard disks in here, so we just quickly get rid of them. Okay, so we got rid of the HDD bay. I might have had to drill it, but hey. And now it's time to slot in the power supply, mount it, and connect all the cables. Okay guys, so here we are with the first boot. Will it boot? Okay, the RAM lit up, that's a good thing. It did boot guys, so I guess we take this off, what do you say? And here we are with the PC properly finished, and we've done all the testing. Now we'll go over everything, but I've gotta say, the first thing I'm the most impressed about are the temperatures. Honestly, the case with this mesh panel has some insane airflow, and the 240mm all-in-one cooler manages to handle the i7 12700K even if overclocked. I actually will have a tutorial on how to overclock this i7 coming out on the channel. You know, I'm trying to cover all the CPUs and GPU on the market, so this one will be covered as well. But the 240 from Xilence does a great job, stays quiet, handles it perfectly. You can see the temperature under Prime 95 small FFT, they're simply insane, and in games it doesn't go over 60 degrees, it doesn't even reach 60 honestly. Case 2 with the mesh side panel, I mean, we have a 6900 XT in there with 2 8 pins and 1 6 pin. It draws a ton of power, but it stays cool. It's of course also thank you to the fact that it's a Nitro Plus card, so it's one of the best customs out there for the 6900 XT, but really it runs cool and quiet. The whole build is whisper quiet, you really cannot hear it. So this time I've also tested some games because you guys asked me for it. So I went ahead and tested Fortnite, Apex Legends and Call of Duty Warzone. But first, we have to mention for a second the fact that the Samsung SSD was reaching 7,000 pretty much megabytes a second, which is really good. I think if you're doing video editing or any kind of work on large files, you need an SSD like this one. And with a build for this target, I was gonna say budget, but it's really cheap, but we'll talk about the price in a bit. For a high-end build like this one, I really think it's worth it to spend the extra money on the SSD, honestly. And as you can see by the performance, you can run DDR4 with no problems. You don't need DDR5 at all, honestly. Kind of like when DDR4 just came out, you could just use DDR3, you know? It's one of those things that will adapt over time. But anyways, let's get straight to the benchmarks. Well, for 1080p gaming, I mean, we tested it just because one might want to use a PC like this for gaming. I personally have a friend who does competitive gaming and he has a build very similar to this one, so I think it was worth it. But basically a build like this maxes out every game. 240 Hz, no problem, it can play even on 360 Hz. We tested Apex Legends with a blend of high settings and low settings. I play Apex personally, so that's how I play the game, and again, it's pretty much competitive settings, but since we have the power, we also upped texture modeling and stuff, and it ran pretty much 300 FPS flat, so it was really nice. I will put the results up there. Then for Fortnite, I mean, Fortnite is even lighter. We were playing pretty much on high settings and it maxed out 300 FPS, so nothing to say there. And regarding COD, well, COD is a bit heavy, but you can play on a 240 Hz monitor, no problem. Just set everything to the minimum, it will run perfectly. For 1080p, this is overkill, but if you want to play competitively, it's the right choice. I think the i7 12700K is the right CPU because we have seen the huge improvement in single-thread IPC. So personally, I think for competitive gaming, you do need a 12 or 13 gen CPU or the latest Ryzen, but these ones are still a bit faster, so these are my personal choice. But regarding the card, well, in the games we tested today, it actually beats a 3090, but it really depends though. Again, if you go with AMD card, you will spend less money. I was able to buy this card for 500 euros, whereas a 3090 would set you back around 800 euros here in Italy, used at the moment. So it was much cheaper and it's performing the same. But in games that doesn't support it properly, it will have a drop that the 3090 usually doesn't have. It's more consistent. But I was very well impressed with it, and even at 4K, this PC can games. The results were simply amazing. You can play at 4K, pretty much high settings. Again, unless you're playing like Cyberpunk, then you need to lower a bit the details and enable DLSS, or in this case, well, FSR, or any kind of upscaling basically to make it run better. You can play at high resolution. Personally, I run 3440 by 1440, 21 by 9 monitor, and this PC would max it out. So I was really impressed with it. And then again, it runs cool, quiet, no problem at all. Let's get to the price. So how much did I pay for it? Well, not counting the case and the cooler, which can be held for 150 to 200 euros, depending on what you would choose for your PC maximum. I paid 1100 euros, so it's extremely cheap. Basically, top performance for a very low price. I'm really happy about it, but I want to hear your opinion. And if you have any more games that you would like me to test on the next builds, let me know. If you've seen the video this far, please drop a sub, drop a like, it really helps the channel, and see you in the next one, guys. Bye. Bye.